Let's unbox the Micro Galaxy Squadron Series 4 A-Wing from Return of the Jedi. Villa Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it. Hello there, thanks for visiting Villa Varykino. Today I have the original trilogy A-Wing from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line to unbox, and it's kind of interesting because this is not the first A-Wing from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line. It's kind of funny that they did a few versions before coming in with the original from Return of the Jedi. So I have opened up two versions before. I have opened up Hera's A-Wing and the Resistance A-Wing. So once we've got this one unboxed, we'll do a little bit of a comparison. But still, this one is the original. I'm very excited to open it up and check out all of the details. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Coming up really soon, I'll take a closer look at the A-Wing vehicle. We'll check out all of the details. But first, let's take one last look at the packaging. The Return of the Jedi A-Wing is part of the light armor class range for the Micro Galaxy Squadron line, so we have the standard light armor class style packaging for this vehicle. We've got a nice clear plastic bubble attached to a cardboard hanger there. Because the A-Wing is a bit of a flatter vehicle, I really like the angle that it is packaged, tipped to the side, so we can really see all of the important key details, which is great if you like to keep yours in their packaging. I think this one looks particularly nice. On the front, we've got the Micro Galaxy Squadron logo there. Underneath we have the vehicle name A-Wing, and this is number 0079 from the line. This was released during the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, so we have a nice silver foil sticker here applied to the front of the bubble that reads 40th Return of the Jedi with Darth Vader there. This is part of Series 4 from Micro Galaxy Squadron, so we have that yellow mark Series 4 there on the side. The A-Wing comes with one minifigure, the A-Wing pilot, and the diagram above shows that we can fit that minifigure into the cockpit there. On the backing card we have a large white Star Wars logo, and we can see an exciting space battle depicted here on the backing card with a B-Wing. We have a TIE Interceptor over here and a tiny little A-Wing all the way up at the top. Overall, I really like this packaging. I think this is a great candidate if you like to keep yours open, but of course I am going to be opening mine. Moving on to the back, we can see we've got a sort of a projection style image here of the A-Wing. This is from the light armor class as noted there. We have two diagrams here showing some of the moving features. We can open the cockpit and we have landing gear that we can lower as well. We also have, as usual, the collectible blueprint, which you can cut out and keep. A great option if you want to discard the rest of your packaging. We've got a bit of a blueprint style artwork there of the A-Wing from two different aspects there. We can see some of the other light armor class vehicles in the Series 4 range. I have these two, and sadly, because I was never able to find Series 4 locally, I do not have either of these chase vehicles, which I'm rather sad about. I am going to have to track those down on the secondary market because especially I really want the iconic land speeder. So overall, really nice packaging, but personally I do like to open my Micro Galaxy Squadron vehicles. So let's open this one up so we can check out all of the details. So now I have the Return of the Jedi A-Wing out of the packaging, but first I want to take a little bit of a closer look at the included minifigure, the A-Wing pilot. The cardboard insert says the name there, A-Wing pilot, and on the back we have a nice blueprint style image of all of the details. I'm so impressed with the level of detail and paint application that Jazwares can get on the little minifigures included in the Micro Galaxy Squadron line. I know we don't really need a little figure in there, the vehicles are the highlights, but I do like the fact that they include these pilot figures. Just makes it just look a little bit more complete having a pilot in those clear plastic cockpit windows. So of course we've got the Return of the Jedi A-Wing pilot here with a green flight suit, and I've got to say I am impressed with just the number of paint details here in all the different colors. We've got two tones for the boots, we've got white strapping harness, we've got two different grays on the chest here, a grey vest there in the back, and several different colors for the helmet. Absolutely incredible. I still don't know how they paint all of these tiny details on there so well. Even if there's a small paint flaw, it never bothers me because I know I'm never going to see it once they're in their cockpit, and I'm still just impressed. Honestly, they could have just given us like a one color green figure and I probably still would have been happy with that. So like usual, he's going to be articulated at the shoulders so we can get his arms up to hold on to the controls. controls, and again at the hips so we can sit him down. So he'll be nice and ready to put into the cockpit later on. So let's just get that out of the way. So of course we can take a closer look at the A-Wing itself. So this is the original, the Return of the Jedi A-Wing. There are already 2 versions of the A-Wing in the Micro Galaxy Squadron line, or at least 2 that I have on hand for a comparison later on, but this is the original. I really like the colors. It's kind of an interesting reddish brown. It's kind of, as I would describe, a terracotta color. We've got beige for the rest of the body and some gray painted details here as well. And then we've got a metallic sort of silver gunmetal here for the laser cannons on the side. We've got a very sort of soft gray here, panels here on the sides and kind of different areas. The Rebellion kind of uses sort of patched up vehicles, so I like the fact that the paint isn't kind of completely symmetrical, and we've got a really subtle wash over the sort of beige areas. In particular, you can see it perhaps the most prominently here on this patch here, so it just kind of dulls down the plastic and kind of gives it a little bit more of a weathered kind of used look and kind of makes it seem just a little less like a shiny plastic toy, which I do like. We've got sort of a shinier, glossier version of that terracotta color here to the side, perhaps a little bit more of a pinkish red in tone. It's not a complete color match to the color here. This part here behind the cockpit is the same color as that front nose of the ship, but these engines are definitely different. And from the back, we can see that they have that yellow, bright yellow accent there. We've got, I want to say there's like, I don't know if I'm just seeing shadows here. It's showing up gray on camera, but it is actually the beige color in person. It's showing up a bit grey on camera, but it is beige and it is not weathered that I can really see there. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It just looks very different on the camera there. Moving on, we've got a little bit of a color accent here as well. We've got grey at the top of those fins. Overall, a very tidy paint job. I had to buy this one online. Sadly, Series 4 never showed up here in New Zealand, so after waiting and waiting, I finally sourced this one from a stockist in Australia. So I wasn't able to see this one on a store shelf to see the paint. Oftentimes, even when you do find them in store, there's only one and you have to grab what you can get. And sometimes with that plastic bubble as well, it kind of hides some things. I've got a very small scratch here just on that back fin there. It looks like just a tiny bit of paint there, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me. I know that, you know, we always want our Star Wars collectibles to look as pristine and neatly painted as possible, but for the price point, and it just kind of just looks like a little bit of battle damage. You can, especially with the sort of the weathering, small, tiny little paint floors, you can sort of write off as just a little bit of, you know, carbon scoring, some battle damage from fighting the Empire. We've got a little bit of weathering here on the terracotta. It's a little harder to see on this area, but I can see from this kind of little smudge there that the weathering has been applied to this area as well. But it definitely shows up in the detail lines on the beige area much more. Very nice. I like that. On the underside, we've got more of that terracotta color. I can see the weathering is also on the underside here as well. We can see a little bit of those gray side panel details coming in there as well. And we've got one landing gear here in the middle because of course it's going to rest on these fins for the rest of it. I don't know if the real ship would really land on these, but that is how the toy works. So overall, it's kind of a small ship. It is from the light armor class, but it is an iconic original trilogy Rebellion ship. So I like that I now have the original trilogy version to go alongside the other 2 that I already have in my collection. So let's go and open up the landing gear. Hopefully this isn't going to be too hard. Okay, that was nice and easy. And we can see it is the same color as the rest of the panel of there, so that works nicely. So now we can finally get it into a proper landed position. So this looks really nice. I do kind of wish that the Micro Galaxy Squadron line did come with flight stands or display stands, so we can have them sort of in a flying mode as opposed to always being landed. There are some fantastic third-party options available that I'm probably going to be investigating in the near future, but for now, of course, it does look pretty cool in a landed position anyway. So now we can open the cockpit. So based on the diagram, I can see that we've got a little bit of a notch here on the side. Let's see, yep, we just can click it open there, and it opens kind of in a split version. This bit apart, stays connected. And we can see that we've got the same color sort of plastic there in the cockpit, and I don't see any weathering on the inside. It is nice and clean there. We can see that clear plastic was used for the cockpit, so these gray lines are painted on the outside as well as that terracotta color there as well. Really nice clear painting there. Actually, I think that's more of a gunmetal. This point here looks more like a gunmetal. Something about this panel here looks more like a gray. But it is just catching the light funny. That is actually more of a gunmetal color. I like that. So it matches that part there. Very nice. Okay, so we've got our little seated pilot that we got into position. And hopefully he will just fit in there nicely. We've got a little bit of a spot to sort of hook his feet into. Let's see if we can get him in there. That's kind of a little bit tight. Let's see. I got to get his legs all the way under the, I might need to... Can I do that? Oh, this is going to be a little bit tricky. I've got to get his feet into those little notches there, but his toes are kind of sticking up a little bit. I've got to sort of press in from the back. This is actually a little bit trickier than I thought. That's a very tight cockpit. I got to wriggle him in, I think. He's not going in. I thought this one was going to be an easy one because it doesn't have, some of the vehicles have like little pegs that clip between their legs to keep them in position. And I'm trying to hook his feet. Oh, there we go. Finally got him in there. Okay, so now he's sitting in there nicely. So when I close that cockpit, oh, is he in there all the way? No, I don't think he's actually, he's going to fight me on this one. Okay, do I need to like lift your arms up higher? So I gotta sit him down. Is he gonna be really, oh no, that's pressing on him. That's a really tight fit. I can't get his feet are stopping his sort of body from getting all the way in there. Are you gonna, I think, yeah, oh, that's a tight fit. I think that's in there. Wow, that was actually a lot more tricky. I wasn't actually worried about getting him in there, but that was kind of a tight fit. Trying to get his feet down under this cockpit section was actually a little bit of a wriggle. I don't like being too rough with my figures. I know that I'm probably not really going to take them out much once I've got them in there. And I do like, especially for the ones with the really clear cockpit windows, I do like having the pilots in there for display. Some of them, like TIE fighters, they tend to be very dark. Even though they have clear windows, you can't really see the black TIE pilots inside, so it almost doesn't matter. But for this one, you can see the color and all of the details of the pilot so clearly through this clear cockpit window. I definitely wanted him in there. That was a little bit of a wriggle to get him in there though, but overall, this looks great. Of course, I'm pretty accustomed to the details of this A-Wing model because it is the same as the earlier two versions, even though they are all from different movies and series. So let's go get the other two A-Wings that I have on hand for a bit of a comparison. So here we have the three A-Wings from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line that I currently have in my collection. Left to right, we have the Resistance A-Wing, Hera's A-Wing, and the original trilogy Return of the Jedi A-Wing. I really like seeing the colors all together. There's something about the paint jobs on the flat panel surface of the A-Wings that makes them really vibrant. Kind of reminds me of the way that Rebellion pilots customize their helmets. It's kind of fun to see some of those colors coming through on their starships as well. So of course, as you can guess, these three ships technically shouldn't look exactly the same. I can see that Jazware has used the exact same plastic model for all three of them. This one would be the original trilogy version, the one first made. This one is Hera's one that's seen in the animated series Rebels. So it's a cartoon style version of one from the original trilogy era. So it would be stylized in the show. It wouldn't look exactly like this. And then of course, the Resistance era is many decades later after the original trilogy. Again, the ship would not look exactly the same as this one. There is differences between Resistance and Rebellion ships in general. So I understand why Jazware has used the same plastic model for all three. The differences would be so minor, I'm not sure it would necessarily make financial sense to sculpt three different versions. And from an army building perspective, they look pretty cool lined up anyway. So I'm not too mad about that. I think they look really cool. Definitely more visually interesting to army build A-Wings than some of the other ships from the original trilogy. TIE fighters are going to look exactly the same. B-Wings are going to look the same, although they look pretty cool. There's something about this sort of the smaller scale from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line that is perfect for army building. Very expensive to do this in a Hasbro action figure scale, and perhaps slightly less fun to do it in the old Micro Machine scale as well. This is the perfect scale to sort of build squadrons in. I think these look absolutely fantastic lined up. I love the different colors, and I think they look really cool all together. So I'm really happy to finally have the original trilogy one to add to the two that I already had. Really, really happy with these 3 A-Wings for my Micro Galaxy Squadron collection. So there you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I opened up another Star Wars collectible from the Micro Galaxy Squadron line, compared it with a few others, and had a lot of fun checking it out. Really happy to have this one for my display shelf. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again very soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a Micro Galaxy Squadron fan, I recently unboxed the TIE Interceptor. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as our whole Micro Galaxy Squadron unboxing playlist. This is the way.